I'm your host, Rob. Welcome to Stream Streak 3,000,000,004. I honestly don't know what the number is. I said that yesterday, and it's still true today because I didn't check, is what I'm going to say. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show. Thanks for hanging out with me today. What up? Thanks, Neuroshock Stubbs, for subscribing. Thank you to Default for also subscribing. I've been here so long, I'm so old now. You are, but you still look pretty fly. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. Whoop, whoop. How are you all today? There's a lot of news stories going on today, but none of them really like enough to make up a show. So when I was thinking about it last night, about what I could talk about today, I was like, do you know what? There really isn't enough at this stage. There's some rules for Age of Sigmar 3 we're going to look at. We could talk about the 40k FAQ, and we can just talk about little other bits, questions from you guys, whatever you want to do, and hang out today. I'm not going to do anything about the lists for this weekend. For the guys are going to be submitting their list for the Super Series this weekend, mainly because last time apparently we guessed a bit too well, and they were a bit all of the teams were a bit concerned. So future planning for Super Series events, it will be like Monday band show, try and get the list in like Tuesday, maybe Wednesday, and then like Wednesday analyze what we think might happen before we actually do the reveal, so we don't like fuck up the guys' plans. So going to be nice about that. What up, Hams fan? Thanks for subscribing. Been into you for 3 months now. Ooh, good. Oh, long may it continue. You to me. Hey, Fletcher Bomb. Diadrin, Wargaming Dad. Yes, Meatballs. Rules Team did almost everything right. Is a story that could fill an hour. Yes, Meatballs. It is a story that could fill an hour, I guess. Yeah, let's talk about it. Hey, Malk. My gaming club opens tonight at 7 a.m. So 7 p.m. or a.m. a.m. Good luck, baby. Bobbin, having ideas for my Medieval Stormcast. Yes, Bobbin, you and me on the same page on that one. AOS Pete, thanks for resubscribing, man. Really appreciate that. Hey, Colonel Cabbage, well done on getting your vaccine. Well done on everyone getting your vaccine here. Let's go look at... Oh, shout out to all the podcast bros. Big love to you. I hope you're hydrating and well. And thanks to all my YouTube thugs. So let's go look at this this article that was posted on the community site yesterday. The new edition of Warhammer Age of Sigmar delivers the most comprehensive rule set ever. Okay. Now, I'm not going to play the clip, but you know the clip that you can talk about here. Yesterday we talked about the upcoming errata of the Beast in the first installment of the Daily Series while exploring the Age of Sigmar's new edition. Today we're talking about a more pragmatic dive into what we have to look forward to with the updated rules. The core rules have been rewritten from scratch to create the most concise and elegantly explained rule set ever. That's pretty nice. I'm not playing the tape. Errata of the Beast. I know. Wait, does it say Errata of the Beast? Era of the Beast. No, you're right. Thank you. Right, so effectively what's happened is they've given us a snapshot of the core rules, specifically the shooting phase. And what's one of the nice bits is they've started to number the rules. So, for instance, like shooting phase is 10.0. And if we wanted to go back and have a discussion and say, oh, you guys just need to reference the rule on 10.1.2, then you could go reference it. Real Polygeek, thank you very much for subscribing and putting pants on for this. That's nice. And then, yes, they've also included a sidebar, which kind of like gives you like a bit of a... Instead of the wording for what it is, it gives you the wording for what it's trying to achieve. So we'll talk about this in some context. In your shooting phase, you can pick a friendly unit and shoot with it. And then shoot is emboldened. So that means shoot, the word shoot or the action shoot is defined, which is awesome. Which does make things a little bit much clearer. By the way, I'm really pro all of this. Okay. Hamsfad, stop it. Right? Shoot being a clearly defined action. You pick a friendly unit and shoot, and then that's emboldened. So then, I don't know if they've defined what shooting is, but I guess this is it. And that's good. Big pro. When you shoot with a unit, you make shooting attacks. Also defined. Shooting attacks have also defined. Thank you very much to the Mortark of Nets for donating 100 bits to the show. Great. Love that. Hey, T-Man Cash, what up? Right, so, yeah, that's good. With each model in the unit until you have shot with all the models you want to. You can pick another friendly unit that has not shot and shoot with it, and so on until you have shot with as many of your units as you wish. Okay, so that's a positive. When you make shooting attacks with a model, it attacks with any of the missile weapons it's armed with. Okay, shooting near enemy units. A unit that's within 3 inches of enemy units can only target, so they're shooting into combat only. That's good. You must subtract that. So there's something here as well to read out. So when they've talked about shooting attacks, a unit can shoot at an enemy unit that's within 3 inches of another friendly unit without penalty. So while it doesn't specifically say that in the rule for 10.1, there's a little sidebar that really clarifies it, which I guess is a positive. That needs clarity. I guess the fact that people may have asked these questions, because none of these are new or in any way different. So, but it's how they're writing the rules out, I guess, is the kind of clear intention here. And then the Lookout Sir rule is... sorry, everyone. There is a change for the Lookout Sir rule. You must subtract 1 from hit rolls for an attack made with missile weapons if the target is an enemy hero within 3 inches of an enemy unit has 3 or more models, same as it was before. The Lookout rule does not apply to an enemy hero that has a wounds characteristic of 10 or more. Amazing. So there's, I talked about this on the show maybe earlier in the week, or I think actually it came up during the T-Sports coverage, that there's a bit of a keyword bingo and also a battlefield role bingo. So some units have a keyword like monster, but they don't have the battlefield role behemoth, and then some of them are behemoths, they don't have the battlefield role monster, blah, blah, blah. Right? So this is nice because this has got nothing to do with going having to check a keyword, and instead it's just based on the wounds characteristic, which is big thumbs. Very nice. Big fan. Borat fan is where I'm at with this. Really, really good. What I tell you, I hope the attack section says that all attacks happen simultaneously. Otherwise, you may find players rolling dice at a time when targeting units. Mandollies, I agree. I understand that. That's the problem with seeing this in the snapshot. And then Colonel Cabbage's put, if anyone is concerned about making shooting attacks with each model at a time, then the current rules have the target declaration rule in the attack sequence section, which then refers you to multiple attacks rule, where you roll for many models at once. So there is already existing clarity. And ultimately, I personally don't think we're going to see any structural core changes. This is, if anything, the changing from monster or whatever it was before to just a wounds characteristic of 10 or more and Lookout Sir. This is just more of an FAQ. I personally think we're going to keep almost inherently all the same core rules, like everything that we know, with a few tiny changes or errata stuff, which will have huge effect. I'm pretty certain the coherency rule will be a huge in-game change, but isn't mind-boggling to kind of understand. And that would be that you need a model within an inch of 2 other models if you have a unit of 5 or more, which is what we've seen in 40k. I'm pretty certain you're going to get that exactly that. But that doesn't sound huge. It's not something difficult to learn, but it's going to have a huge impact on the tabletop, is what I'm going to say. So I think that this is really nice here. So yeah, it's just nice to see. Huge positives, huge big positives here is clearly numbered rules, the intent of the rules, and then clarifying what the words are. So Lookout Sir is bold, hero is bold, so they all have these terms. Thanks Tristan for resubscribing. I love being 17 again, he says. Can't wait to not make the basketball team and get turf for my first punk band because I won't smoke weed with the bassist. Tristan, what a 17 you were. So for Age of Sigmar 3, huge positives is all I'm going to say. Couldn't be more confident at the moment going into it. I think all of these changes here are huge positives. Numbering the rules, being clear. The thing, more than numbering the rules, it's boldening in the text. So if you're listening to the podcast, basically the text for shoot or shooting attacks are all bold. And then Lookout Sir, hero, and hero, they're all bold. So those are terms and keywords inside of the rules so that they can reference them or refer to them or make those more clearer. And I think that is very, very positive. It's nice and clean. Very happy about this as a rules guy. Does sound pretty watertight. We will see. But personally, huge positives, especially after some of the stuff that we've had recently, where stuff's been a little unclear or has been a bit problematic. I'm very happy to see that maybe this is just where they've put all their energy, right? And they've just thrown a bunch of books out with some trash stuff in because they just don't give a fuck because they've all been working on it. So they did that in an afternoon, then they've been working all on this. So I don't know where I'm at. I prefer that this was good. I prefer that they spent all their time on the core rules, right? And I want Alarielle to get a good war scroll, but if they want to spend 4 minutes on it, then we're good. For getting better rules. So I'm really happy. Really happy. Huge positive vibes. Well done to the rules team. 11 out of 10. Well done on them or whoever told them to do it or whatever. Great work is what I'm going to say. Excuse me, this is Narrative Channel, not a rules channel. Volson right, I agree. I'm so sorry about that. So yeah, I'm happy about that. No, I don't really have anything more to say on those rules. There's nothing else in there. That's all they've shown. Nothing else particularly clear. We know what's in the launch box already, which obviously is wicked. And I might go talk about the Cruel Boys right now. It looks like a modern rule set, says Nezil. I'm impressed. I hadn't expected this level of clarity. So I think that it's a huge bonus. Especially after the chapter approved debacle this weekend. They just don't. There's so much fluctuation in the quality of what they try and produce. And I think a lot of it is, having worked internally, a lot of it is because they just work their balls off on a new edition. Then they just coast for the rest of the edition. And they're like, whatever. And then they smash it again with a new edition. So it's loads of lead time on just a new edition. Because that's probably where they just get that big spike in sales. The big amount of new people into the hobby, which is all they really give a fuck about. Then they just drag it out for 3 years, just throwing out whatever trash they can find while they're working on the next edition. Because you got to that's basically how I feel that they do it. But last time we did not get this. The Age of Sigmar 2 launch was a disaster. So I'm hoping that they're looking to not repeat that basically. Will you be doing a winners and losers show after the rules release because I can only get so right? Yes, Hams fan 100% will be doing that. I forget, did they release the core rules when the box set for second edition went on pre-order? Mandolese, I think they did. I think they won't be doing that now. I think we're past the stage where they were trying to flog us some game that they just happened to make for Age of Sigmar 0, which is the launch of Age of Sigmar, where they were just here's the rules for free and the war scrolls and you can just still buy some Warhammer Fantasy Battle stuff, don't worry. I think we're past that now. I think they're going to make us pay for it all, personally. AOSP, can we get a review of the TSM facilities at some point in advance of the events this month? Lol, is there a hand dryer? AOSP, yes there is. I can't be impartial on it though, AOSP. I'll get someone who's been to the venue as a player to do a review. How does that sound, Pete? And I'll have them on the show and they can give us some advice. Work hard, then sell a bunch of shitty books. It goes, Borneo Man Child, that's how it works. Afternoon, you said there was no price you would take to remake the Age of Sigmar 8 New Things video. Is this true? I'm thinking Nathan Prescott as Sigmar. What I'm saying is, there's no price I would have been paid to have been the not Sigmar voice role in that video, is what I'm going to say. Team Man Cash, Nathan should do the reviews. Nathan should do the review. Yeah, it's perfect. I'll do that, Pete. Ron, are you going for a biker look today? Kickfort? I don't think so, man. Wargamer Dad, thanks for subscribing. Right, has anyone got any questions? Because honestly, I'm tanked out, boys. With Super Series, 2 tournament days coverage, everything else, my mind is just out for today. I was even maybe I should paint something and just talk some shit, but I don't even have that. That's basically the best I've got today. There's one shit article that shows us some numbers. I mean, they could have just written, they could have just said, we've numbered all the rules. And we're going to be wicked, what's the plan? Your plan to balance your work life so you don't burn out? Well, so the Super Series stuff is just a lot more intense than it is. And it's not necessarily that it's a heavy workload. It's just operating in skill sets I'm not very good at. For instance, organisation. So, I don't really know what the answer is. Hopefully just make loads of money. That's the plan. So we are doing the Super Series, great. Then we're hosting events at the venue, awesome. Then I'd like to start streaming those events, great. And then we're going back to big events, that's wicked. But a lot of it's just been set up and prep, like painting all the terrain, building all the terrain. It's just been that. Like once that's over, it'll probably be calmer. So I'm really happy. And thanks to you all. Love you all. You're all great. It's just doing them every day. Like is what it is. There's been like 450 of them, and sometimes there's no news. Sometimes there's nothing in my head. So yeah, like I could tell you about the trophies I'm printing in a minute, but I don't want to ruin the surprise. Yeah, some days, like, I mean, I've done a fuck ton of them, right? So, like, there's only so much eventually that you could do without wearing a wig. And causing all sorts of internet drama. Yesterday's band shows were great, says Gorka Morka, and hilarious. I really love that Super Series exists. Gorka Morka, thanks, man. I think one of the fun things about yesterday's band shows is that they were very aggressive, which maybe is kind of something that has, like, played in, like, you know, from round one, obviously, I think there was just a lot of safety bans. People like, I want to take what I want to take. But yesterday's bans, if you guys haven't watched them, you go watch them on the T-Sports Network YouTube. They're already up, so you can go watch them. Those were all aggressive bans, banning each other's armies, banning stuff we've seen previously. Like, they were just strong bans. And that was quite fun. I really enjoyed that. Like, I don't want to talk about it too much, because obviously one of the things that I think is interesting is, like, I want to let the teams write their lists without me, like, throwing out my opinion. Because last time I did pretty well on it. And I know most of the teams pretty well. I don't want to, like, colour that. Like, I don't want to help either of the two teams out. So, I should have done that. What are the AOS unit coherency rumours I keep hearing about, says Keg4? From what I've heard, it's one model has to be, if a unit is 5 or more, one model has to be within an inch of 2 other models, meaning you'll no longer do conga lines of 40 dudes. Instead, units will fight more like infantry. Now, I'm hoping it's more than 5, not 5, and my reasoning for that is, if you think about what you would have to do with a unit of cavalry, let's say Blood Knights, you would have to have a unit of 3, and that, like, you'd have to have a 3 and a 2, and it would look a bit like a spear, in order to make sure they were all within coherency. So I'm hoping it's greater than 5, as opposed to not. It makes units that don't have long-range weapons really bad as well. For instance, Chaos Marauders on 25mm bases with a 1-inch reach, so they reach over the top, so that's great. Units that would be really bad would be units with a 1-inch reach, and they've only got a 32mm base. So in 40k, they get around this problem by being able to attack from so a unit within an inch. If that makes sense, am I making sense? I hope I'm making sense. So doing that, I'm hoping that that's in there, and if not, just they're going to have to change the weapon profiles on some things, or some things will just be shit. Basically, that's how it works. Question. Okay. What do you think about standardized battalions? I think it will create natural winners and losers for each army is constructed differently. I would say that standardized battalions, like the core battalion idea that they've alluded to, is a positive and not a negative. I think what it does is it greatly will change the scope of how lists are written, but it also brings some parity where they're like, how do you change points in Tzeentch while knowing change host exists? Okay, but if that's gone, you can change points in Tzeentch, right? Because they're not getting this overlapping thing. So I think this core battalion idea is really nice. Gives everyone equal opportunity to produce like the same volume of drops, if that's an issue, which is an issue in Age of Sigmar. And so I would say that that's really, really important. Like big pro, I think I'm generally pro it. I think that there isn't a negative other than some armies will just do well, but some armies already just did well. This means that you've got like a centralized middle that you can kind of move stuff up and down around. So I'm really positive. I'm really pro it. I think that it's a much better effect on the game. I think it's sad from like a collection point of view, if that makes sense. And I don't think it's going to be anything like 40k on the way you build lists. I think we'll build lists basically the same, maybe 0 to 4 changes. Basics, I've heard each model is okay, good. Yesterday's bans were ruthless. Gorkamorka, they were. Prezi, hey, Do you know any guides for building your own terrain for tournaments? Tips on stuff like that would be have a good base and heights. Prezi, not really. There are guides for building terrain, but it's normally narrative, not tournament stuff. One of the things I'd like to do once the Super Series is over and the venue's up and running is I'd like to, like from the Honest Wargame, I'm going to make a lot more like content, if that makes sense, like videos as opposed to like just hanging out and chatting with you guys. So I will do some videos like that in the future. Do you know if they are fixing terrain rules and things like fighting halfway up a wall, etc.? War charmers, I don't know, but I would hope that they do. And if they don't, we've done a terrain pack, so we're all good. Lol, Fury 6 model units. Furies are fucked. Saurus Warriors with clubs. Oh yeah, you're all talking about the 1-inch ring. If it's 5, rank and flank is back. It is, but it's not because you won't be able to attack over it. 10-man Blood Knight units with 1-inch range on their lances would be one of those issue units. Yeah, of course. So that's kind of one of the things. Yes, balls. I'm starting to see a greater value to a ban phase when it's over multiple rounds, so teams have additional info on what the opponents want to do. Makes the decision more dramatic and funny. Yes, but did you guys find it funny? That's interesting. That's interesting. I wonder what I could have done to make it so that you guys understood the context more. Maybe, I don't know. Pete Pratt, thanks for resubscribing, man. Hope you're well. Are you going to LVO, Kansas? No, probably not. 2022? Maybe. It's on a different weekend to CanCon this year. So maybe. I was talking with one of my friends, Mr. Joe Pagano of the Rage of Sigma podcast, and he said, should we do the double, CanCon and LVO? I'd kind of like to. It really just depends on money at that point, around that time, and what else is going on. So I'd like to. And I'd probably like to go to the LVO to play. Not because I wouldn't like to do coverage or anything like that, but like the opportunities for me to play people in other... I'd probably want to play like at other places around the world or in the UK as opposed to just the people who I know in Nottingham as a way of playing games. I think that's more interesting for me in the future. Neuroshot Dubs, I like the court mainly because like I want to make friends. I want to go around the world and make friends. I want to go around the country and make friends. I don't want to and I find the best way is not online. Apart from this, I love you guys. But this has been really positive for me. Like I've loved this experience. Twitter's been less fun, mainly because like you tweet a tweet and then someone doesn't really know you and haven't listened to a billion hours of your content. They don't really know where you're coming from contextually or as a person, and so they just get the wrong end of the stick, or they just have a grudge and they want to just grind it against you, which is why I like this as a format. We talk, we hang out, or we talk in person, even better. The best. The most best is what I'd say. The Warhammer Weekly show you were on was good. Thanks, some Norwegian dude. Appreciate that. Annie Brooks, while watching a battle report, one player told the other player his wizard couldn't cast spells because the wizard was in close combat. I couldn't find a rule list anywhere clearly stating you can or can't cast spells while in combat is a rule. There is no rule that does that, Annie Brooks. I don't understand why they're still publishing War Scroll battalions when they are just going to be scrapped and replaced with generic core battalions. Seems like a waste of time and effort, says Gross X. Well, if they all become narrative, then it's a nice way for people to build narrative armies, I'd say. And I'm pretty pro that. Like, more opportunity for people to build stories. I mean, you could run, like, a change host, but it's not a change host. Like, if you like the story, you know, you could kind of, like, put it into your match playlist, but not actually pay the points or get the abilities or anything. But, you know, like, you've collected a change host or whatever, you know, like you're like, I like that, that's cool. I think it's a bit of a shame that they're taking away a way for you to get cool rules on other units, but there you go. What else is people saying? I'll grind against you, Rob. Thanks for getting it. Great. Hey, Hams fan. Thanks very much for donating a gift subscription. The only place worse for bringing you down is Facebook 40k groups. Yeah. Down the Great Gamer Khan says Twitter's bad because it is being made the rule that context and intent don't matter and people assume worse plus crave dunking on people. I'd say that's fair. But I don't know. Like, I think there's also like some really fun people. It's just about like I don't want to have this conversation a lot at all. So like, if you guys want to ask me any Warhammer questions, that's what I'm interested in. But I've talked about this already earlier in the year. You should just curate your own space. My friend Nathan Prescott, many years ago, I asked him a question. There was a contentious member of the Warhammer community who asked to meet me to bridge divides. And then I asked Nathan about it. I asked some advice. I was like, I don't know what to do. I think this guy's been pretty nasty in the past. I don't really know what we could do, or what I should do. Like, I respect the olive branch, but really I really question the intent. And Nathan was just like, he's like, what divide? And I was really confused for a long time. Like, I was very confused. I was like, what do you mean, what divide? He was like, there's no divide. I was like, what do you mean? And he was like, are they in your community? I was like, well, no, they never fucking talk to me. He's like, well, that's not your community then. And, like, he just has a way to cut down wisdom into very simple, like, terminology, which made me really understand something. I was like, really, the people who you interact with would be all of you, and me, is, like, you're my community. So you're the people who I'm responsible to, and also the people who I care about. So your opinions matter to me, and I hope my opinions in some way matter to you. And so social media sometimes can be that thing where the best thing to do is just stick within your community. I'm all for, obviously, open borders, making new friends, all of that other stuff. But, you know, like, if you have a community and no one supports that community, then they're not part of your community. Right, and that makes loads of sense. Same way, like, my community. Like, I live in the city centre of Nottingham, but, like, I think, like, if I go to a pub or a restaurant or anything, you'll see, like, everyone says hi and knows me because I'm generally just nice to folk, like, all the time. And you do that, people being nice back to you, you build a little community. That's what life should be about. Anyway, enough of that. That's not Warhammer. Let's talk about that. But just something to think on for yourselves. Just be inside your gang and hang out and be chill. Like, and that's nice. Thanks, Nurgle Matthew, for donating some more gift subscriptions. You fucking absolute legend. I hope you're well, Nurgle Matthew. Is a squig herd the optimum way to start a Gits army? Stu Redacted, it is not, but maybe one of the funnest ways. If I was going to collect squigs right now, a Gits army, I probably wouldn't go for Moon Clan Gits. Even though the Stabbers and the Boys are great, I would probably focus on doing all the squigs. They're newer sculpts, they're far more fun, they're not like the 45 Boingrots maybe is a list, although no. Like, I'd probably get less. Maybe. Like, do they sell them in boxes of 5s? I'd get less. But the point is, I would build an all squig army, basically, because it would just be fucking loads of fun. Squig herds, Boingrots, Mangler squigs. Is it a great list? Not really. Do I think it can win tournaments? I don't really think it can. But will you have loads of fun with it? I think yes. Also incredibly frustrating because their bravery super low. They'll just run away from shit. So yeah, I'm really I think it's good. Hey Pinecones, thanks man, appreciate that. Big love to you. Smorgan, big love to you as well, of course. Is there an influx of generic battalions? Do you think they'll change the way the first turn is decided, especially if you're allowed to make one drop battalion? I would say no. I would say 0% chance that they change how the first turn works. Will you be doing a review show before the events on the 19th and 20th? Probably, Pete. 100%. So, yes. Or if I'm not, desperately still painting terrain. So, side note. Jasmo, good morning, hero. Just woke up hangover as fuck. Tried to read the 40k FAQ, but couldn't. Any updates? Yes. Very good updates. The 40k FAQ's been excellent. Games Workshop have done a really, it's night and day. Weird as hell. Chapter approved, almost no changes. Tried to flog you, do anything to make you buy this book, which basically is trash, which is chapter approved, that's just on pre-order at the minute. Cancel your pre-orders, don't get it. Then they bring out a very salient FAQ where they clearly have listened to the community on a whole bunch of different issues. Dark Technomancers for Drukari, the charge issue has been changed. We've seen Imperial Fist changed, not that it needed it, but there's still some clarity there. General clarity and a smart and nicely presented FAQ. It really doesn't make any sense. It's sporadic. Sporadic. I don't even know what the word is. As someone who talks about it, maybe you guys can help me in the chat. I don't know what to say. Well done, excellent. Also on the new Age of Sigmar rules, excellent. How can you do something so fundamentally bad? I think with the Alariel stuff, and because I think it's really bad. I know there was a YouTube commenter who said it's going really well. Can't wait to see all of you 5-0 with Alariel and your whatever the fucking flute dude is. Because I think it all sucks. So show me that, and then I'll shut the fuck up. Until then, probably won't shut the fuck up about it. But my point is I don't know. It's crazy. But they've changed Dark Technomancers. They've nerfed Drukhari a bit. They've brought Drukhari down without gutting Drukhari, which we've previously seen in like knee-jerk FAQ reactions. However, AdMech had just been released, and they're really fucking strong. And then Sisters Battle are coming out, and they're looking really strong. So you've got this like weird paradigm. Thank you to Corn Matthew for donating £5 to the show. Corn Matthew. Are you brother to Nurgle Matthew or embittered enemy of Nurgle Matthew? That's the real question. Anyway, let me see what everyone's saying. Probably intentional. They're slower and fewer far. Dreadclaws now work properly. I don't have to worry about being nice to me on 26th of Raw now. Good. Drukhari didn't need that nerf. Narrative presence just needs to take chainsaws and get good. Absfan, I agree. Chapter Proof was written 6 months ago. The FAQ might be less than a month ago. That's fair. Feels like they came from very different places, says Diatrin. That's kind of my point. Like, but it also shows, again, we don't need to talk about this ever again, shows the quality, doesn't it, of doing digital books. They're like, oh, we can reactively do this. Here's a PDF. We put it out, no problem. Chapter approved 6 months ago. Terrible. Like, anyway. So, yeah. Question, as someone who has had bits and pieces of He Knight's army, is there any way that you think that the army could be uplifted from the purgatory it's been sent to with the introduction of core battalions? Or do you think the book was just written bad? I think the book just doesn't give you... So I would... the quickest comparison I would probably give is to Sinesh, is to Tzeentch and Seraphon, both of which I think are quite well done, ignoring points. My point is that if I wanted to run like a Seraphon army, I could go into Thunder Lizard and make my Bastiladons super good, and then they kind of focus around Bastiladons. If I wanted to then go make Skinks good, obviously I can go Fangs of Sotek, and obviously I've got that command ability again that really makes them better. Daughters of Cain, same thing, right? I want to go for more teleporty army, my army plays different. Obviously I go for Calibron, I want to make it more defensive and more like strong. Then obviously I go for Hagnar. Like what the sub-factions do in all of those is they make it so that your army plays differently, so you can have different models, you can play your army differently, different army types, so it's really, really good. The issue with Sinesh is their sub-factions do nothing for them in any way, shape or form. Like the best one is like +1 to run, like, or charge. Like what the fuck? Like it's terrible. And then none of their and then they don't have any command abilities that do something similar as well. They don't change up the shape of how you play an army. So I just think it's just a really badly done book. And that's my very short version as to why I think it's a bad book. Like, in comparison, because we have versions of looks that feel better. There's a lot of questions in the chat. Sorry, everyone. So I'll just get through here. Do you think that sometimes we as a community confuse interesting with strong and boring with weak? So back in the day, like when Age of Sigmar 0 first came out, there were some very interesting war scrolls. Which have actually, in my opinion, gone away. So, Severith is a really interesting war scroll, as are Wind Chargers, like their mechanics and how they work. Like, interesting, I think, is where something fun happens, like there's some interactivity. I think it's like a bit of a magical conversation where we're not really sure what we mean sometimes. You have to play a lot, you have to play a lot to really have that conversation. But there were, in my opinion, some really fun rules that we've seen go away from the game. So the Skink Star Seer was one of my favourites. That's where you and me, I would pick a number in the hero phase. I would pick between 1 and 6. And then you would try to guess the number. And if you guessed right, you got that many rerolls. But if you didn't guess right, I got that many rerolls. Right? So I would always just pick 6. And I'd always tell my opponent I picked 6. And they'd be like, oh, it's a 5. And it would be a 6. Or then, like, we'd play around. It was just so much fun. Right? Like, it was just a fun interaction between me and my opponent, a small little sub-game. Or, as being pointed out in the chat, Wrathmongers in AOS 1, where if you killed a Wrathmonger, then that dead Wrathmonger's blood would seep, because it was full of fury and rage, because it was called, would seep into whatever killed it, and then you would be able to use all of its melee profiles to go and attack something else. But they had a 5-up armor save, and they moved 5 inches, or 5 or 6 inches, I think it was 5. So, like, you could shoot them to fucking pieces. So, like, but you generally, if you had a monster, like if you had Nagash or anything, you would never, like, charge into a unit of Wrathmongers, because then you could use his attack profile to attack himself, which was so much fun. Like, again, but like it was fun on the tabletop because you and me were interacting over other little bits. So I think that interaction is the key point. And so, like, I don't think strong. My point is, I don't think strong is interesting. I think interesting is interesting. I think the fact that Fangs of Sotek skinks can retreat after they've been charged, I think is actually interesting. I think the fact that skinks are so cheap is what makes it so strong, as opposed to interesting, right? Like, the double Bastillodon shooting, I think, is really interesting. Obviously, it's a huge upgrade to the Bastillodons, but they have to form a castle, they have to fight around themselves. Like, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, I think Flamers having Rend is strong, agreed, but it also means that you've got a Tzeentch army with some Rend, as opposed to just mortal wounds. Whereas the D3 move for Host Arcanum for Tzeentch gives you like some sort of early. It's not like anyone who plays against Host Arcanum doesn't know that D3 flying units are moving forward. Like they tell you at the start, D3 of my units are going to move forward, and so. But like, I don't think that's strong, of course, but it's also interesting. I think because there's also some swing on that. I think also some variance as well is also really, really fun. Which is why I actually, and I've said this before, strong is not fun, thinking about twos re-rolling ones. Yeah, but I don't think that's interesting. I don't think twos re-rolling ones is interesting. It's not fun at all. Variance, I think, is generally quite fun. Which is why I really like Kragnos' War Scroll, generally, because his charge ability is awesome. It does this crazy cool thing where you could like delete anything in the world, but he also could roll a 7 and do nothing. But if you do that, there's still some like backup on the variance because his melee attacks are really quite good, and he could do some really, really potent output in combat. So even if you don't get the charge off, you're still rewarded for getting the charge off and being a part of the game. That's why I really don't like Sevirith's War Scroll, because you are like, there's no, you move really fast and you shoot, and all of that's fine. So let me be clear. The only thing I don't like about Sevirith's War Scroll is that at the end of my shooting phase, that model can move 12 inches anywhere they want. That I find like unfun. It's strong and unfun. It's non-interactive. Like that, it's bad. Maybe on a 3-up, he could move, or a 4-up. Probably let's make it a 4-up. Then that'd be cool. Like that'd be fine. But the fact that it happens in my turn, and he's basically unchargeable unless I surround him, like, just for 300 points feels like it's over the top, personally. So, like, the interaction between fun and engaging is, and because I get this question asked all the time, like, I want my friends or my opponents to have fun, like, what lists do I take? Just think about lists or things that your army does that make it so that you guys are both playing with each other or engaging. I think that's always like that's the fun thing, I would say. Gorgon's a really fun profile, is alright for the cost. I love the Swallow Whole ability as a cheeky bonus chance to eat a 5 or 6 wound hero. Yes! Stuff like that is really fun. Yeah, everyone is getting mortals on 6s is really dumb, especially as it's often explained by poison. Why would poison your arrows make them go through armor? Yeah, 6 is to wound. Yeah, if it goes through the armor, like it does a mortal wound because it's poison, right? Right, let's see if you guys got any more questions. What about Lumineth? Are they fun or strong? Interesting. I don't think the mortals on 5s is fun. Like I'm not interacting with that, am I? Like, it doesn't. That doesn't affect me. I don't know. I like more risk versus reward. I think risk versus reward makes things far more interesting. Which is why I think you land E9. That's why I hate Pointy Man for eels. You land, and then instead of having a 9-inch charge, you now have a 6-inch charge, re-rollable because of their War Scroll. That's not fun. Like, because you really because it's fun. The other person, the fun is sometimes when your opponent fails. That's the fun. That's like you're like, oh yes. Like, like they deep strike, they're 9 inches away, they fail the charge. You're super happy about it, man. You're super happy about it. Like, yes. Like, there needs to be that back and forth. The dice are meant to be the back and forth. I think that's probably why people find the Marine meta in 40k pretty gross. Having things that hit on 2s, reroll 1s is just boring, because I'm always hopeful in your turn you're going to fail dice. You're always hopeful in my turn that I fail dice. That's how it works. Yeah, we're hopeful for each other's failures and hopeful for our own successes. That's the kind of emotional swing that makes it most fun. As soon as you make it like polar, like as soon as you make it like almost a guarantee, it's just boring for the other person, right? Question: do you think the fact that we have hinted that monsters will get to do more will Beast Claw become more impressive? Yeah, if I was going to buy a box set now for Age of Sigmar 3, I'd buy the Start Collecting Beast Claw Raiders set 3 times. 100%. I'd buy that 3 times all day. That's what I'd go out right now and do. Do you think 3 Magath Lords would see play if they were not named Lords, says Keris? Chaos Lord, Sorcerer Lord, Nurgle Herald, and Nurgle Herald on Magath Beasts. If they were not named Lords. I just think they need a rewrite. It's an older book, and I just think the whole Nurgle book needs a rewrite, if I'm honest, Keris. And it would be really fun to see each one of those Magath Lords. I've painted all 3, and they've been in a box since Warhammer Fantasy Battle. I don't use them in a mission tournament? No. Maybe I took them to a tournament back in the early days of Age of Sigmar, I can't remember. The point is, they should just have their own sub-factions. Just lead in their own, there you go, there's a way. And they're just awesome, and they've got, just do that. That would be really fun. Shelltog, have you thought about a franchise pack for Super Series that people can get for their local clubs? Maybe you get a comp pack and those band-faced cards and mats so people can do their own events. Shelltog, we have. It's actually something we're going to, talk about or put out in the future. Obviously, we need to know the state of Age of Sigmar 3 before we can do so, and just make sure that, all of the things that we have in place already affect it. But yeah, Shelltog, that's the idea. Although we can't sell the cards, we would have to make our own cards because obviously they're Games Workshop's IP, so we're not allowed to sell those. But other than that, yeah, 100%. And it wouldn't be for profit. It would just be this is what this has cost us. If you guys want to buy the mat and whatever, you can off you go. When facing Marines, I've often considered just skipping straight to the saves rather than going through the rigmarole just to get with your wounded. Yeah, man. Kickfort, they confirmed the Cruel Boys will be able to be taken with Uruk War Clans and will be getting a tome. Did they? Kickfort? That's pretty awesome. Do you think a whole new Uruk War Clans book will release with or soon after the Cruel Boys tome? Do you think it will be a push? It will push the new book back. Well, it would be. They would have to put it out immediately so you could play with it. Kegfort, so it'll be one of the first books. Are you sure they confirmed the Cruel Boys will be taking the Uruk War Clans? That's awesome if that's true. Kitsune Adventures, the Maggot Lawns were in the end times. They were released. Gotkin and those and Wrathmongers were all released in the Warhammer Fantasy Battle days. So that would be cool. And Blight Kings. You talked about the Blight Kings list the other day. How many Blight Kings is it roughly? We normally see about 45 Blight Kings. Sometimes 2 bricks of 20 and a brick of 10. Sometimes it's 15, 15, 5. Sometimes it's 15, 15, 10. Normally you see Blight Kings taken with what's his name? The Harbinger of Decay, which is a great sculpt. Love that model. And also, he's a pirate for Nurgle. What is his name? That fella. That's the guy. Rumba Squirrel, how do you feel the ban phase will affect your opinion on the overall game as you will skim the problem models away and so potentially not see ways to beat them? Well, Rumba Squirrel, we're not planning on doing the Super Series every week for forever. And so my experience, and also we do the stats show. So I think one of the good things about going to events and also looking at event results from around the world, which is what I do and have done for years, is that I think I have a really good grasp of where the game is already at. And so when I see Marathi be the first ban, it makes sense because Marathi plus the Bow Snakes is probably one of the strongest lists in Age of Sigmar at the minute. So I see that banned because I know it's a problem. It's a problem. When I go to tournaments like Bobo or LGT or CanCon or whatever I'm going to do the live coverage for, big tournaments, those things will still filter to the top as well. I think what's nice about the ban phase is sometimes you see other lists and you can talk about the strength of how they work and don't work. So I don't think that that's going to bother me at all because I'm still going to take in. They're going to be rare cases. Super Series events are going to be rarer versus just your general tournament coverage, which is the point, right? It's meant to be a special event. Mainly because Cruel Boys have the Uruk keywords, so go to Big War. Nice! Okay. They mentioned it during the box reveal. Okay, nice. So that means we might see a new Uruk War Clans book. Fucking into it. I'm really into it. Are Super Series games included in the stats? No. Or is it considered too divergent? It's considered too divergent, Shelf Loathing, so we don't put them into the stats. Because it's a comp pack, so we don't put them into the stats, basically. Now I'm sad you won't have the Super Series every week. Yeah, well, it's a lot of work. Which is the point of making it subscriber only, both to watch back and also to stream. And to everyone on Patreon, so putting up the recorded videos on Patreon. Because it required 5 staff to work that weekend. That's a lot. And if I was to pay them full-time wages like they deserve, then we need to make the money to do that. And that's the goal. And if we could do that, we can just bring better live coverage in the future. So it's as simple as that, really. Like, we have to charge for the thing so we can get that out there. And it's really, really hard to do. So, and we can't start small. You can't start with like 2 dudes because the minimum stream crew we have is 4. So a table boss, a tech guy, and 2 commentators. That's the minimum. So you're looking at being able to make enough money for 4 people for a living wage. So that's not the easiest thing to achieve. But you guys have been incredible, of course, with all your support. So obviously we're getting there. Slow road, but I'm like confident and like I'm keen, and I think we'll get there because we're just trying to make the best coverage possible. So fucking let's go. Thoughts on the new Beast of Chaos Allegiance abilities? Silent Home is not on the way. I don't know if there is going to be one on the way, babe. I don't know if they won't just retcon them out of the game. Colonel Cabbage, do you think the TSN song that repeats "I don't need your money" is sending us mixed messages when you make a living on Twitch? Is that the song? Wow, I don't know, man. I'll go find out. Good on you for wanting to pay right from the start. Thanks, Neuroshock Dubs. But I haven't been able to, right? Like, it's been all volunteers and supporters. Like, I had a really good conversation with Loon King Donal, the Grot Terrorist Donal, years ago. He came and did infield reporting for us at one event. And I said to him, I was like, we were talking about what to charge and all these other things. And he said, you can never afford me, Rob. I live a good life. I work really hard in my own job. There's no way you can ever pay me to do this, but I do it for fun. So there is always going to be that element of people who are going to want to come and hang out and do it for fun and support us. And there have been wonderful people doing that. I think of Adam Kunis, who came up once to just do a weekend of coverage. Lovely fella. Like, he just came up to like hang out and do some stuff. And all the other people who've helped do coverage as well. But if we're going to do it professionally, we have to do it seriously, and we have to pay people, like, because those people need to like develop skills and other things, and hopefully me as well develop some skills. Is there an Armies of the Old World? Should I be excited? Is it 15 mil? I don't know if there's an Armies of the World. I don't know if it's 15 mil. The rumor was it was, and now the rumor has changed, so I don't know if it is. They also mentioned the Cruel Boys as the newest to the Uruk war clans in the community article that went in the reveal. Okay, so it's an Uruk army that can be used in Big War. That's going to be... So I hope we see a new book. That's what I say. I'm doing it for celebrity status. It brings me spiritual slayer. JP Stevens, I'm just waiting for my 6-figure wage to play. You got it, baby. Coming soon. What time is it? Fuck, I'm just yammering away to you guys now about anything. Me and the guys are going to be talking about the 40k rules changes later tonight. So that'll be Nick and Tom and me. So we'll be going through the FAQ stuff later. So lots to talk about in that. 8 Sigmar stuff looks really exciting. I'd pay not to play JP. Do you think the ogres are going to be shown in Total Warhammer 3 today in the video game reveals? Do you think ogres are going to be shown in Total Warhammer 3 today in the video game reveals? Maybe. Or they've hinted at there being ogres, right? In Total Warhammer 3. I mean, I'm very excited about that. Depending on when it's released. How would you guys feel about me just doing that on stream for like a week? That's a purely personal indulgence. But I can just throw in some Age of Sigmar stuff at the same time, right? Like I just play a bit and I just throw in some stuff. Like, you'll be like, what do you think of this? We'll scroll up. I'm like, yeah, like, that's fine. Whatever. Like, it's really easy. All right, I'll do it. Okay, I'll do it one time. What's the deal with Bobos? Is there still sign-ups? I'm not sure, Mostin Power. I will ask and find out. I had 306. Okay, fine. Thanks, guys. Yeah, fuck yeah. I'll just do it for 1 week. Just straight. We'll just sleep in the venue. I'll just have a little sleep. And then we'll just get in. Beastmen fixes today. What Beastmen fixes are in today? Is there something just gone up on the community site? What? Oh, is this on Total Warhammer? Not on actually Sigmar. A day a week of Total War would be kick-ass. That's the problem though, Tristan. I can't do like a day because I just lose my shit. Because I lose my shit when I play it. I won't be able to do it. I don't think there's been any updates. Right, okay, listen, I'm just rambling. I don't really have anything useful to say. Oh, actually, I do have something to say. Fuck yeah. This is great. I'm showing this right now. Hashtag new AOS is the worst hashtag. Hashtag, like, then what's going to happen next time when it's new AOS? Ridiculous. Yeah? Right. But this is what I've got to talk about. Down here. Blah, 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 blah. Meanwhile, the Aftershocks, no one cares about that. No, don't care about this. It's kind of an update on all the Age of Sigmar stuff. Don't you? Newer AOS. All of you in the chat. Newer AOS. They should call the game Mortal Realms instead of Age of Sigmar. Right. But this is the one. Nevertheless, the role of the Stormcast Eternal, so I'm reading from a community article if you listen to the podcast, has changed in the desperate times. While once they would descend like lightning bolt from a blue sky to strike where they're most needed, now they weather extended campaigns. Hashtag the Crusades from the Horus Heresy. And from their mighty Stormkeeps are bonded more deeply to their host cities, and Stormcast often travel and fight alongside Dawnbringer Crusades. Hashtag the Horus Heresy. Yeah. And then greater caravans of exploration seeking to found new cities. We'll have more to share about those soon. Look at this artwork. I probably should have talked about this the whole day. Look at this. So you got a lot of KO boats flying above. You kind of worry, like, could you not have got something else? Although some of those KO boats are bigger than KO boats we've seen previously, right? Let's talk about that. But look what they've done with the artwork. So they have these mobile cities. Has anyone seen that film with the mobile cities? That's terrible. Really bad. Super, super bad. Came out recently. Not sure who's directed by, but it's mega bad. Like, real bad. Mortal Engines. Nailed it. Backed into a map. It sucks. But they've done that. They've given us, like, the Mortal Engines. Okay. Kegful, I feel like Nathan would be more excited about the Uruk Walklands Cruel Boys thing. I'm excited about it, but, like, I can't talk about it because it doesn't... I don't know anything about it. It's cool that they're in it, and it's great, and I'm happy about it. Other than that, there's nothing you can really say. They clearly would have to change Big War. I don't know if they're going to put a new book out, so I couldn't put like anything on that. I don't know if they're going to release a Cruel Boys book and then make the existing book work with it. There's nothing I know, so I can't say anything about it, but I'm excited about it. Like, it's fun. Let's put it like, it's cool. And it's also cool that they've got the Uruk keyword. I'm a little worried for Bone Splitter's shelf life. Just going to put that out there. Little bit worried about Bone Splitter's shelf life. Don't really see where Bone Splitters fit when there's some Savage Uruks, but that's all. Thanks, Soros Knight, for resubscribing. I am a dad with 0 redeeming qualities, but it's somehow the most likable character. Oh, what are you guys talking about? It's just someone who worked with him a lot. Oh, okay. Peter Jackson didn't... Mortal Engines was bad, in my opinion, but you can watch it, make up your own mind. That's what you say. This image, though, is not bad. So, there seems to be these big steam engine ships, it looks like. They look like mobile churches. It's super 40k, like mega 40k, like all monastic. They've got these like slave people, like dragging all of the like the ropes and stuff, covered in tattoos as well. They've got these these holy priests like doing incense and order, and there's like a huge battle in the background. Like, unbelievable how pretty this is and like evocative. Maybe a few less KO ships, mainly because I just think KO are like this thing. But if you look, they have a floating city at the top that they take with them. So there's a big floating city, and it's being like dragged along by the land ships, and it's just awesome. Just awesome artwork and like really like imaginative. And I'm super happy that this is where they're going with Age of Sigmar. I'm all for like big fantastical and like magical and cutesy, and like if they wanted to do a chibi Age of Sigmar, then they'd like crack off and do it. But they need like the grim monotony of human existence, the dark, terrifying wasteland we throw our souls and lives into. And they need to put that into fantasy, because that's the human experience. Yeah? Pain, toil, war. That's what they need to do. There's 3 women priests like that. 3 for Archon in the End Times. Is there? Are those 3 lady priests at the start? I would like to see them do the battle carts that they did previously. So Luminarch and the Hurricanum, and then there was an old one. I don't know if it's been legended. I think it's been legended. The War Altar of Sigmar. I'd like to see them bring that, but bigger. And that might be what we're seeing there, a new War Altar of Sigmar. Who are you, Rob? I just committed to the joke, and none of you... there's everybody a gangster until the church walks. Yeah, that's yes, meatballs are true. Everybody's a gangster until the church walks on wheels its way towards your doom. Yeah, man. I think this is just a great piece of art, and if you haven't checked it out on the community page, you should go check it out. It looks really wicked. Okay. All right, unless anyone's got any final questions, I'm done for the day. Tomorrow, I'll have someone on the show to talk about something, so it's actually some full content for you guys, and it'll be really worthwhile to tune in. So do that. It'll be good. We be up in the ship, says MJ Pegasus. YouTube thugs on the wheels, and podcast bros doing all the work. Just pulling everyone. That's right, MJ. Salutations, Rob. Hey, Arcane Ring. I want to take a moment. Thank you and your colleagues for all the delightful content you share with us. Oh, thanks, Arcane Ring. Not sure if you hear this enough. I think you are doing a terrific job. I can never hear that enough. Thanks, Arcane Ring. That's very lovely of you. And I appreciate the message. Because I don't think I've ever seen your name in the chat, so that's nice. Thanks. Fuck yeah. Talk with X. Have you on the show? Am I? I don't know. Right, okay. Tune in again tomorrow, I guess. Or tonight for the 40k show. Tonight we're doing the 40k stuff. I mean, there's loads of things to talk about. There's the FAQ. There's still AdMech to talk about. There's loads of really cool stuff. Obviously, we've got the Super Series this weekend as well. 2 semi-finals, which is hype. So I think there's going to be some really big plays here and some really tense matches. So really, really looking forward to that. So, and also, don't forget, Owen Jackson will be doing the commentary as well. There's rumour. He's messaged me. He says he thinks he can do better than Adam Mumford. So let's go do that. There's the Gamer Reveals 2. Oh, Keris, yeah. All right, sweet. It should be a sort of mind about masking against Eagles. All right. Listen, thanks for tuning in. I'll talk to you guys soon. Have a nice day, and we'll see you guys later. Goodbye.